sent you that topic, but I just realized it's episode 50.
It is.
And I don't love that topic. I mean, like, it's okay, but it's not my favorite, especially for episode 50.
50 is a big one. It's a
The big
huge
schwank.
milestone. Yeah.
Right. I mean, which 50 episodes in 52 weeks. Let's talk about that. Consider we had no idea what we were doing when we I mean, how many times did we record that first episode because we couldn't figure it out? Um, so I don't know. I kind of want to pivot. Shocking, right?
Love it.
uh, Pivot a little bit and just talk about what we've learned in 50 episodes of doing a podcast.
Gosh, I think that's great.
That's
No,
all.
I'm rolling right with your drive right now. This is perfect. Let's go.
Okay. Sarah's got a thunderstorm happening over there.
It's perfect.
I don't know what's happening over here.
But I mean, you're right. I guess I didn't. I know that we had done 50 episodes because we get this like fun little warning or whatever, and we also keep track of our number. But to think that it's just been a little over like a year or so that we really like put this thought into action and have really been committed not only to each other, ourselves, but to doing this show. And that takes a lot.
Yeah. And kudos to you because you do a lot on the back end. I feel like I just kind of roll out and roll in
I
to
love
these
it.
episodes. But yeah, kudos to you for all the stuff you do on the back end. I was looking at some of our stats this morning, which is kind of what cued this idea in my head. I'm like, it's interesting when you look at the breakdown of our episode titles and which ones have gotten the most downloads.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the heavy ones, which I thought was so interesting. First off, I want to say when we first started this, I was so nervous to put myself out there. And that sounds crazy because if you follow us on social media, you know, I'm pretty open. I mean, I put some like deep thoughts by Jenny on my social media, but this is different, right?
Deep thoughts by Jenny. I'm going to start using that now.
Deep thoughts by Jenny. Uh, we always say that about my son, deep thoughts by Jack, because he's got a lot of those. But um, yeah, I don't know. We've talked about some really heavy stuff. I mean, I've opened up about obviously my mental issues, my mental health issues. I've talked about my childhood trauma. We've talked about loss of a parent.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some incredible guests and really talked about some heavy and hard stuff. And I just find it interesting that those are our highest downloaded episodes.
Yeah.
So,
And I think it's because our willingness to go there, you know, to places that other people just tread around or, you know, don't tread on at all or whatever. And it's a different level of vulnerability, I think, than when we post on social media. And I don't know if it's like this for you, but for me, sometimes, like whenever I'm posting something on social media, I'm aware of the audience. You know, I'm aware of who's going to be looking at it, liking it, whatever else. Not that I ever really care about that kind of a thing, but sometimes I think whenever we are recording, I get lost in just us having a conversation. And I think that makes maybe what we say more real, open, and vulnerable because even though I know we're going to have listeners tuning into the podcast, at the end of the day, I'm having a live interaction with my best friend about a serious topic and we're airing it.
airing her dirty laundry. Good, bad, and ugly, right? What do we say?
Right.
The good, the fun, and the yucks of life. But
That's
even
true.
like the evolution of how we do this podcast, you know, I think about those first few episodes where we had like notes and we had like certain things we wanted to say. I can't remember the last time I had notes for an episode. Like we are so off script. There is no script. Like we
Mm-mm.
literally decide the topic about 10 minutes before we hit record. And so I mean just like that comfort level is so interesting to me. I used to get really nervous before we would record. And now it's just like I look forward to it because like you said, it's just like an hour with your bestie talking about stuff that we're dealing with and we try to keep it really true to what are we going through right now as midlife moms and
Mm-hmm.
wives and all those things. And so we try to be really vulnerable in that sense as well. and that like this is real shit that we're talking about,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people seem to appreciate that. And I don't know. I'm proud that we have made 50 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I am a little surprised, if I'm being honest, that we stuck with it for a whole year. And, our goal was never to be like a top 10 podcast. Like, we weren't trying to become celebrities or famous or anything like that. We just wanted an outlet for ourselves. And we thought, hey, if this helps even one person, then we've succeeded
Mm-hmm.
in what we did, what we just set out to do. And so to me, like, it's a wild success. We
Yeah.
could rattle off all our statistics because we get all of that data. But at the end of the day, I don't really give a shit how many people listen. If one person listens and it helps them
Mm-hmm.
win, that's a win in my book.
Oh, it totally is. Yeah. And I mean, to our audience, too, for always being there to suggest or to make comments or even to randomly just message us like at a different point during the day, like, hey, I listened to this episode and I really found it beneficial or it really helped or, oh my God, thank you. You know what I mean? It's just even the
Mm.
people you, like we've said before, you least expect or you have no idea who are actually tuning in. And whenever you get those messages, it just does kind of send that validating vibration out into the universe that, hey, good messages are being sent and received. Let's keep this cycle kind of going. So,
Yeah, you get back what you put out, and I've always believed that, and I think that this is such a testament to that, like pushing
mhm,
through that fear of like people being judged and what people are going to think, and pushing through all of those things that sort of enter your mind. We talked about those on the taking off the mask episode,
mhm,
talking about imposter syndrome, and just realizing that like the stuff that scares you, especially if it's not hurting anyone, like, but that's what we should be leaning into, because what
mhm,
I've gotten in return from doing this is so much more than I could have imagined for myself personally, for my self esteem, um, for my own mental health. It
mhm.
makes me think. It makes me not just talk the talk, but like do what do what we're saying. We're walking the walk and trying to be the best version of ourselves, which is really, you know, what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you're right. And for me too, it's been about personal accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I can say all these things to myself in my head, or I can have all these vision boards in my little space that's now dark from a thunderstorm, all up in here, but it doesn't, I think it just has greater meaning whenever you speak it out there and other people are following in on it, or are
Mm-hmm.
um, seeing how you go about reaching these goals or these personal changes that you're making in your life, um, on a very open scale, and the hardships that kind of come along with it, or the wins that come along the way. I think that that has been a very cool part of this process as well. So it's
Yeah.
been wild.
It's a work in progress. I think about all the things we've talked about, and while I've made
Mm-hmm.
such headway in so many of those things, some of them are still a real struggle, and it's an ongoing thing of coming back to what is working, and following through with what you've put into place, whether that's your meditation and really speaking like
Mm-hmm.
your goals out into the universe. That's been a big one for me. It's just like putting it out there. These are what I hope happens. These are my wishes, and this or
Mm-hmm.
something better. Like that's been, I've seen those things come to fruition, and that's like, damn, I can. That's pretty powerful when you think about what you're truly capable of. But there's been other things that like I've really struggled with this year, and I haven't quite figured those things out yet, and they're a work in progress. But I keep coming back to it and using the tools and the things that we talk about on this podcast to just keep chipping away at it. You get there eventually, right? Some things faster than others.
Right.
We all want
Hashtag
that instant
same.
gratification.
Yeah, yeah. Or I don't. I think of, maybe this is just my mindset. I feel like everything that I and that we're doing right now is almost like a different form of like strength and endurance training. Like
Mm,
even doing it, in my world, almost physically, it is really, I feel like helping to manage more of those obstacles
Mm-hmm.
that come up within our lives, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that if I can push through and do this because it is very challenging and every part about me wants to stop or to quit or to do whatever. But if I can keep going through that, then I see that as an indicator of other storms I can weather because I am building up the strength in order to manage through it.
Amen.
And so I feel like that's what a lot of this has been about, whether it's the peaks or the valleys or um, I don't know, just the different things that happen over the course of time in our lives. It's that I feel like if we continue to push, to train, to open ourselves up into the universe and whatever storm comes our way, then we are greater prepared for it because of what we're doing in the present to get us through it.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever that may be, who knows?
Right. You never know what storm is headed your way, what
Mm-mm.
valley. But you're so right. It's definitely given us more confidence to push through whatever that is that falls in our lap. You know that you've got the tools to move through it and see what's on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
What else have you learned in the last 52 weeks of talking into your microphone?
Yeah. I've learned how to update a website. I feel like this is so silly, but in a big way, I feel like my tech skills have totally improved. Like,
Totally improved.
uh,
We couldn't even like get your Wi-Fi to work for
hell
several
no.
episodes.
Right, right. I was one of the few, now that I realize this, few human beings that, whenever that whole COVID crisis hit, I worked in a bubble. We saw patients every day face to face. We never quit. My life
Yeah.
continued even though the rest of the world shut down. And so the first time that I ever used Zoom was to record our podcast.
Wow.
No shit. Like,
Yeah.
because our world just didn't, for whatever reason, the practice that I worked at, we just said, you know what, we're still coming to work. We're still doing what we do. And we
Mm.
did. And so I think for us, in a weird way, that was a protective bubble, but it also limited me, as I found out, in my tech skills because everybody else had like these advanced Teams and Zoom and whatever the hell else people use for things
Yeah.
that I did not have. And so I think that this journey has also allowed me to see um, what deficits, I don't even know if I like that word, but I guess it's factual. So, what deficits I have in my own personal space and place in life, and what I need to do in order to continue to fill those holes well and to continue to level up different parts of my life. And so, even though that's a silly one, that was a big hurdle.
No, that's a big one because I would agree with you. Like when you said that, it made me think same thing. I mean, we did Zoom meetings and stuff. I was still working in schools, very similar to what you were saying. Like our life really didn't stop in some ways, but we were doing a lot more like Zoom meetings and
Mm-mm.
those types of things, Google Meets. But now with my new job, I work at the state level, still in education, but at the state level, it's all Teams meetings, it's all Zoom. It's a lot of like presentations via Zoom. And as silly as it sounds, just getting used to like pressing record and talking into I don't use microphone, obviously, if I'm giving a presentation, but like just that ability to talk to a screen, as silly
Mm-hmm.
as that sounds, has been very beneficial in this new role because I feel comfortable. I don't have to get through that piece of it. And so, like, just those
Mm.
like surprise benefits to trying something new. And it doesn't have to be a podcast, it's whatever it is that A, scares the hell out of you, and B, is going to help you. Um, Obtain new skills on some level. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's really why you have to get outside of your comfort zone so that you can grow and obtain a new set of skills.
Right, right. Yeah, I definitely think that's a piece of it. And I think, um, all of our lives have these wonderful threads that kind of come into it at different points from other
Mm.
lives being intertwined within it. And I think one thing that this podcast has also helped me do is to kind of re-identify myself as, not my profession. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that was really
Yeah.
important because, for so long, I think that we identify ourselves by what we do instead of who
Mm-hmm.
we are,
Yep.
and or even what we want to do or what we want to become instead of who we are in the moment. And by doing that, I feel like it just I think that's an unintentional limiting factor, because then we feel like that we have to act a certain way because we are that role or that title. And that's an ingenuine way of kind of, it's not on purpose, you know what I mean? But
Right.
it is a
No.
very ingenuine way of kind of living in a way. And I think that through this process, I have been able to de identify what I have as an education or what I had as a profession into who I am as a human being. And I think that's more important.
Yeah, I completely agree. We do definitely identify ourselves. And so when I walked, well, I say I walked away, but I really didn't. But when I took a year off, it was like, well, who am I now? I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
school psychologist. Like, who am I? And so that whole identity piece of like being so tied to our profession was humbling to me,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, well, I guess I'm a stay at home mom, but like that just didn't seem to carry the same weight as this, fancy education that I could display on my office walls. It just
Right.
didn't come with the same, what I felt, um, sense of importance, which is so stupid. Like I know better than that. I mean, I love some people that I love most in this world and respect most in this world are homemakers. And, um, but I struggled with that change after doing it for so long to being like, well, this is what I do. I'm a homemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now, it's so different. It's like I'm a podcaster. That's part of
That's
who I
right.
am.
Mm-hmm.
But I also
Mm-hmm.
love the connections that it has helped me reconnect with a lot of people. I'm always shocked at people from my past that reach out and they're like, I listened to this episode or this. And, or like my dear friends now, they'll say, I listen because I feel like I'm having a conversation with you, or,
Mm-hmm.
just things like the connection. I just got a text from one of my colleagues and she's like, I absolutely love your podcast. I'm sharing it with
Mm-hmm.
my daughters. I just love the connections that it has built as well, just
Mm-hmm.
reconnecting to people or just feeling like you're more connected to somebody because they're listening to this very vulnerable art. I feel like that we're putting out, and they're responding to it, and that's really, I'm all about human connection, and it validates so much of who we are as humans and individuals and our needs.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just shows I think that we have in our minds that there's this great distance that gets created geographically or through time. And I just think that that's also a falsehood. I mean, I just believe that now. Like, I feel closer to you than what I ever have, and we're still the same far, you know what I mean? Same distance apart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I even see that, like, with what you're saying, with like past people from our lives who just kind of randomly reach out. Time did nothing
Mm-mm.
to the relationship that was there. It was our perception that time took something away
Right.
whenever it really didn't,
Right.
and I think that that's an important bridge too, to just to kind of, honestly, maybe you have to lean into that too. So what, it's been so long since you've talked to somebody,
Yeah.
or so what, you live halfway across the nation. Why are we letting these false barriers keep us from reaching out to people? And
Right.
so, those of us that are reaching out or that have reached out to us, thank you for highlighting the truths within
Mm-hmm.
the world and the universe, that we don't all have to kind of live subscribed by those types of dimensions, I guess.
No, as evidenced by an old friend that lives over in Europe that listens to our podcast. We can see where people are located when they listen. And he's reached out several times, like, Jenny, I love your podcast. And I'm like, Merrick, you're not our target demographic. I can't believe you want to listen to what we have to say. But it's just, again, that like, I haven't seen him in, God, I don't know, 20 plus years. We worked together for a summer in a bar, like, but those, I don't know, that relationship, that it's not even a relationship. I mean, it was like a real friendship. That camaraderie still
Mhm.
exists, even though you live in a whole nother country. So yeah, it's fascinating to me everything that this has brought to us, to our friendship, like the fact that we get to do this and spend so much time together. And I mean, we're constantly texting and calling and like constant contact. Whereas 5 years ago, that wasn't the case.
Mm-mm.
Hell, 2 years ago, that wasn't the case. You know, we talked
Mm-mm.
maybe 6 times a year. Now it's literally
When are
like
you coming
every day.
in?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just that connection piece for me has been one of the biggest surprises and welcome benefits of doing this and putting myself out there.
Oh my gosh, definitely. It's been really, really, really cool. And I think it just kind of, I don't know, I have to step back and just appreciate it at different points in time because again, we don't always see the beauty of the moment until we step away from it. And
Mm-hmm.
then occasionally I'll go back and I'll look at previous comments that we've had or lists or suggestions or messages. And I'm just like, somebody took 2 to 3 minutes out of their day just to send this.
Right.
And I'm still talking about it now, and that happened 3 months ago.
Right.
I think that that's the impact of all of us as humans taking those extra 2 to 3 minutes just to kind of reach out or to say something nice or to plant a good seed or to do something like that because it's those, I don't know, moments of gratitude
Mm.
that really get carried and shared with people longer than what any of us know and anticipate, I think. So that's
Yeah,
been
I hope
cool.
that if this has taught you anything, if you're listening to this and you've listened to previous episodes, if it's taught you anything, if you've been sitting on the sidelines thinking, I wish I could do that, or I think I could do that, or maybe I could do that, do it. Whatever it is, rip the band-aid off, just do it. It's not going to
Mhm.
be perfect. You're going to have a lot of criticism in the beginning for yourself if you're anything like us.
Mhm.
And but you just and I credit Sarah. She was like, we just got to do it, Jenny. Like, it's never going to be perfect. I wanted to have it all laid out, exactly what, all the things. She was like, press record, let's go. And I
Which is
think
what you did
honestly,
today.
right. Well, I mean, because I've learned from you that that truly is like, just do it. Same thing with your workout. Like, don't think, just do. Roll your mat out, do your workout. If you think about it, you're going to get in your own way every single time. And so if two old country bumpkins from West Virginia can put a podcast on air for the world to listen to or watch on YouTube, then you certainly can do whatever it is that you've been thinking about. Um, so I encourage you, hopefully, you will, uh, just
Yeah,
press play, whatever it is, just do.
I think that's definitely true. You're right. We always get in our own way. Just pressing play is a big piece of it, and I think for me, I think something that I've learned from you that I'm still learning is that you're very graceful and embracing of the middle-aged mom thing. Like that just still rolls off your tongue, just like, hey, this is what we are, this is what we do. And I'm still sitting there like,
I mean, it is what it is, right?
I know. But it is, I don't even, whatever, that's still something I guess for me to kind of explore and think about. But you embrace where you're at in the moment purely, I guess is what it comes down to. Very purely. So I may not let anything stop me, but at least you know where you're at and you hold on to all of it in a very pure fashion. So I'll just
Doesn't mean
press
that I
go.
love it. I'm not loving all the gray tinsel in my hair at the moment and the wrinkles, like there's still, like I said, there's still things that I struggle with every day. I mean, I can see that I'm aging like right before my eyes. And there is that, like, you look around and a lot of people are doing things to not look their age, which God bless them, whatever works for you, whatever makes you happy at the end of the day. But it is hard not to compare yourself or to think, well, what could I be doing differently? And so certainly the accepting aging is a work in progress for me.
Mhm. You are much farther down that road than I am.
What, aging?
Oh my God, yeah.
Or accepting it?
Um, Accepting it. No, I'm older than you.
Only by a couple months.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's the accepting part of it. No, I still think I'm a kid and act like it. So that's also probably a
Well,
problem.
In the sense of, or in the spirit, I should say, of vulnerability, what are some things that you feel like you haven't quite figured out yet that maybe we need
God,
to explore in the future?
that's a list. Um, Geez, I think, I guess the number one thing that I need to probably do is really determine what I'm willing to continue doing in my life and what I'm not.
Mm.
And I think that that implies in a lot of different areas. And with that, I think that that means surrendering the idea that I would be quitting on something or that I wasn't fully invested in it or giving into um, any other type of misbelief that may come along with it. Like, I just really need to probably firm up more solidly with greater follow through on what I'm willing to just kind of go through, I think, maybe in different areas of life and what I'm not willing to. And
Mm-hmm.
just holding that line very firmly. Because I think that, um, whenever we're in the heat of any moment, then it's really easy to see a path in a way, kind of out or in of whatever situation that presents. Um, but then that gets muddled whenever you start to have conversations or think, or a few hours pass or a day or something. And I think it's a difficult balance between allowing ourselves and other people within our lives to kind of grow and figure things out, and then knowing where that line is, that there's just not a point in continuing on past that point. And so I think that that is something that I need to explore more and be more intentional about my decisions and follow through with those things. And so, and I think that that's, like we've talked about before, whether that be with anything like parenting or relationships or, what you want to do with a career or a goal or friendships or anything, I just need to, um, shockingly perhaps, be more clear and then hold a line
Mm.
more diligently, I guess.
Yeah,
So
it sounds like you need to do some meditating to
I
get more
know.
clear.
Hey,
We're
man,
gonna
I do.
have a shit ton of it next week.
Right, right. I mean, I'm keeping up with my our personal meditations that we're doing and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. And I do think that and I think that's one thing too, is that meditation does not provide the key in that moment. You know what I mean? I don't walk out of it
Mm-mm.
with an aha or I've got
No,
things figured out, but it
no.
does create space. And that's the goal. It creates, the goal of it is to create that gap between your thoughts and the experience, to where, I guess, kind of light or breath, freedom can kind of come from. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's a very, very important piece that I've been incorporating, thanks to you, much more diligently within this puzzle. And so I think that that's a very helpful part of it. So we'll see.
Helpful tool for sure. No, I don't. Meditation is not going to give you the answers, but what I find is when the same thoughts keep coming up while you're meditating, you need to
Mm-hmm.
listen to them because they're
Mm-hmm.
telling you something, or and that's definitely been the case for me. And some of the things that I still struggle with are definitely things that resurface consistently when I get really quiet with myself and focus on my breath. You
Mm-hmm.
just, it's like there's a reason why these thoughts are cycling back, because it's something you need to, it's an area of life you need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I'm going to be super vulnerable right now, but I am really struggling with my body image, which is no shock.
Mm-hmm.
As um, I've talked about before, I've been dieting and exercising since I was like 12 years old. Um, I, I can get on here all day and tell you that you should love who you are and accept who you are and not, not compare yourself to other people. But at the end of the day, that is a lot easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really hard when you put in a lot of effort to look a certain way and it doesn't happen. And you look at other people who seemingly put in no effort and they look that way. It is really hard not to get down on yourself, to judge yourself, to go back to old habits and patterns and thought processes. And so that is something as a 41-year-old woman, I can't believe I'm still here, that I'm struggling with. And I don't like it.
Mm-mm.
And I will figure it out, but it's hard. It is really hard. And I don't want to do it and I don't want to figure it out by like over exercising and under eating. Like
Mm-hmm.
can you drop a ton of weight? Sure. But like I'm going to figure out a sustainable way to love my body. And I haven't figured that out yet.
But I love how you say you're going to. I think that's
I
the
am.
best thing. That's the best thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Because I
lot of.
will.
Mm-hmm.
I might be 70 on my deathbed, but I'll figure it out eventually. Not willing to give up and just throw in the towel and say it is what it is because I don't believe in that either, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a daily constant struggle for me.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
And maybe that just, yeah. I think that I don't know. I go through waves of that too at different points. I don't know how we can't. I don't
right.
know.
I appreciate my body. I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
I'm a healthy person and that it works most days and you know,
Mm-hmm.
I there's a lot of parts of it that I appreciate, but it's just the truly being so comfortable in your skin that you're not even comparing yourself to other people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I have ever felt that in my entire life.
Yeah.
So, um, I don't know. That's where I'm at. That one's been heavy on my mind lately, probably because it's starting to warm up and I know bathing suit season is right around the corner. And, you're like, you just want to feel good. You just want to feel good in your skin and not worry about what you look like.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's where I'm at.
And be healthy with it too.
Right.
Be healthy in your
Right. Like there are
processes.
ways to go about it, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to do it the right way,
Mm-hmm.
achieve the results that I want at the same time, which is just, I'm like, why does it seem so simple for some people?
I don't know.
I swear, I was looking at this girl's Instagram the other day. I swear, like, she looked better 9 months pregnant than I look right now. And I'm just like, I don't understand. I follow a very strict, healthy diet. I
Mm-hmm.
work out most days of the week. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I get a ton of sleep. I do all the things.
I'm
I
staying
drink all the
hydrated.
water. I don't drink alcohol, or I did this weekend, and
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, like, I don't regularly consume alcohol. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm like. I don't understand. It can't just be that I'm 41. But anyway,
No, but you're right. It's just that whole thing. And you're right. You get down that self comparison thing real quick.
real quick.
I think that's
And
my
I'm like,
issue with the aging. I think that's it's the physical, because I don't feel it. I don't feel it physically within my capabilities in my body. Like what I'm doing
right,
right now is better than what it was 10 years ago.
right, right.
Um, but I think that it's the, it's these wrinkles up here. It's this,
Mm.
whatever this is over here.
It's the
Like,
dryness in your skin.
oh,
I can put moisturizer on and go back, and it's like 10 seconds later, it's dry again. I'm like, what the hell? This is not cheap moisturizer. And
no.
I slather this shit on. I'm putting oils on every inch of this body, and skin's flaking off 30 seconds. I'm like, what is happening?
We're at the lizard stage of our life. Is that what's
Seriously.
happening? I don't know. Jesus.
If somebody has figured out, I don't know. Maybe I just need to drink more water. That's what I tell my kids all the time. They're like, I got a headache. I'm like, drink some water.
Drink some
Drink
water.
water. It will fix everything. Maybe
Yeah.
just more water. Read about people like drowning themselves because they drank too much too soon.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no. Get your
It's a
electrolytes all
real
in
thing.
balance. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dry drowning and then getting your electrolytes all messed up. No, totally real things. Yeah. No, I think I agree. I still think that that's my issue with it. I think it's not what my body's able to do physically that bothers me. It's that I can see that, especially in my face, oh, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
all that.
See mm,
Yeah,
all those times laying in a tanning bed coming back
probably
to haunt
at
us. That's
13.
exactly what that shit is.
At 13.
Um, yeah, crazy.
Probably not
The
okay.
other thing I'll say that I am still trying to improve upon is just being more aware of the energy that I bring to, um, you know, environments and situations. And I can even be in my head, like, my kids will do something that really pisses me off. And I'll raise my voice, which I'm not proud of, because I'm not a yeller, but like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like I'm just at the end of my rope. I'm done. And I can be saying in my head, stop it, stop it. This is not who you want to be. This is not the energy. Like, there's a better,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I can't stop it.
Mm.
Like, I have to make a point of like that, whatever it is. Like, it's always like really stupid stuff. And so just trying to not only be aware, because a lot of times I am aware of the energy I'm bringing, but like changing it and actually having a little bit more self control in those
Yeah,
moments.
no, self-control is a big one for me too.
It's hard. It's hard. I
Sucks.
mean, I feel like my husband has been out of town like most of this year so far. And I only have so much patience. And
Mm-hmm.
then I lose it.
No, I
Again,
totally get it.
not things I'm proud of. I'm just being vulnerable and telling you, like, these are some things I'm still trying to work on. Ultimately, I feel like just having these conversations
Mm-hmm.
is helpful, and listening and being like, oh, or people write in and say, oh, I feel the same way. And I'm like, okay, I'm not just psycho.
No, no.
I know I'm not, but it's just nice to feel validated sometimes. And like, we only have so much capacity to handle so much stress.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we all only have a specific amount of bandwidth that's given to us each day.
Yeah.
And once that starts to get trampled on, it just becomes too much. And this even goes back to an episode previously, I think we talked about. I might as well just say, I don't know that there's going to be a day that I am not going to struggle with some aspect of being a stepmom.
Mm.
How about that for vulnerability? I don't think I am, and I'm not saying I'm being pessimistic in this, but I just don't. I think I'm being. This is the other line that I'm drawing in my life. I don't. I'm going to be realistic about situations instead of always. And I'd have a tendency, I think, sometimes to just be like, "Oh, fuck it, we'll get through it," or just, you know what I mean, go with it, and more optimistic at different points, and then some points, like you've talked about, whenever I'm done, I'm done. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I really just need to be done at some points with things. I say it, but then whatever.
You're not. You
I
carry
like
that.
my right. I like my steak extremely well done. Like if I ever eat meat again, it has to be like a hockey puck. Because I just that's actually where I'm at with like done, I think, as a word too. Um, but I don't know that there will never be a day that I don't struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think there will be.
Well, as your friend, I would agree. That's definitely your area of needs improvement. No, I don't even say needs
Yes.
improvement, but it needs attention. Needs like that is a work in progress for you 100%. And I mean, quite honestly, just as your friend, like that's just part of your personality too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like there are some things that we are built for, and there are some things that we are gonna find more challenging.
Right.
And that's gonna be something that I can see you
Every day.
being challenged with. But also, like we talk about, like challenge isn't a bad thing.
Right.
It can
Right.
help you grow and become a better version of yourself. Just because
Mm-hmm.
it's hard doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
you don't do it. It
Right.
just means you got to dig a little bit deeper.
Mm-hmm. And
Just
it's the thing's not it's not even with the kid. We have a great. It's not even about relationships. It's great, mostly great relationships. But it's just again, I think that my parents either cast this beautiful spell that I was unaware of, because I'm sure that I am more than certain that I was incredibly difficult. Um, but I don't know, they just did everything perfectly right. And I never saw any ounce of yuck or struggle or tension or even, I mean, now if we had, Slick Rick and Big J on here, and you know what I mean? My stepdad, if he was still alive, or some, stepmom or
Let's
whatever.
clarify that those are not stripper names.
No, these are my
That's actually her
parents.
parents. Slick Rick and Big J is not short for Big Johnson.
Nope.
Big Jan, her mom.
Yeah, Big J. So, but no, I just think that they did. I don't know. Maybe there was, and I just didn't know it. I lived oblivious to it. Probably that was what it is, because I'm like a squirrel and just chasing the next nut that rolls down the hill. Um, whatever they did well. Let's just put it that
Well,
way.
no, let's face it. They struggled too. Like you said, you were just oblivious to it.
Problem.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's a hard relationship, and having been on the other side of one of those relationships, it is hard. Same thing. I'm sure it wasn't easy for my stepmom, but it wasn't easy for me as a kid either.
Mm-hmm.
And those are just difficult and different relationships, because ultimately, that is not your biological parent. And yet
Mm-hmm.
they are in that role of parenting you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care who you are, that's hard. And, and so, yeah, I mean, I think that that's hard for a lot of people. So maybe we circle back and do another episode on, on that at some point, because, um, yeah, I think I think it's tough.
I mean, I'll just say it sucks. It sucks a lot of, and it's not any negative reflection on the love. I mean, I love both of our kids. We call them both of our kids. It's not any.
Right.
We have a great relationship. We get along. I mean, my husband's out of town. We're gonna have all kinds of fun, make all kinds of crafts, no problems whatsoever. But there's still that other side of that coin that is just a
Mhm.
very significant challenge to deal with.
It is.
So,
It's hard to parent your own kids. I mean, I feel that, whew,
yeah.
especially I get shout out to all the single parents out there, because that is no joke. And I forgot how hard it is, because we went through a long spell where my husband wasn't traveling, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's back to traveling for work. And it was different kind of hard when they were little, different kind of needs. It was like, get to 7 o'clock, get these kids asleep,
Mm-hmm.
take a breath. But now they go to sleep when I go to sleep, and it's a challenge,
Yeah.
to say the least, to get it all done and work and not feel guilty, that you're not doing work, or that you're not spending enough time with your kids, or that you're in a pissy mood because you have a lot on your plate and a lot coming up, and you're trying to like keep all the balls in the air. And
Mm-hmm.
it's all of that stuff, affects your parenting,
Yeah.
and your self-esteem, and how you think about, how you're doing in each of these areas. And so, it's been quite humbling. And so if you're a single parent doing it all by yourself, man, you deserve a freaking medal and like a
Cheers.
week-long
Mm-hmm.
stay at a place of your choice, because that's the only thing that has gotten me through the last 2 months, is knowing that next week I'm going to be at some bougie ass spa,
Right.
meditating twice a day, doing yoga,
Right.
getting facials and massages, and drinking green juices. Some people, my colleagues, say they keep referring to when Jenny's in hell, because that to them sounds like hell. Whereas to me, I'm like, let's go. Like, I
Oh
can't
yeah.
wait to get there.
Oh my God, me too.
Um, so, but that's it. Like that, if I didn't have that prize, like that carrot to look forward to these last couple months, ooh, I tell you,
Yes, I agree. It's been rough, but yes. So we are going to have a lot of things to talk about. Gosh, we might have some of these things figured out by then. We might go to this retreat that we're going to and come back with all the answers. Wouldn't that be something?
I mean, I fully intend to come back a butterfly. I mean, I'm gonna roll up in there like a fat caterpillar that has, you know, yeah, that is prepared to come out of this as a butterfly. So we're
Yes.
going to cocoon ourselves down at Savannah Resort in Arizona. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
record a couple of episodes while we're down there.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be treated like the queens that we are
Amen.
for a week. And I
Mm-hmm.
cannot wait. It is a Deepak Chopra retreat.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of meditation happening. Um, it's going to be incredible.
It's going to be so much fun. And not to bring age back into this, but do you realize this is the first time we've went on vacation together since we were 16 going to Myrtle Beach with your parents?
For sure.
Holy shit.
For sure. For sure.
How did we let that happen?
I have to go to Myrtle Beach this week, actually. I haven't been in a long time. The
Cheers
old
to
stomping
Dirty
grounds,
Myrtle.
the old
Mm-hmm.
dirt Myrtle. I haven't been there since I think maybe my bachelorette. I don't know. It's been a long time. So
Oh, wow.
vibe going for a conference this time. So different vibes in Myrtle Beach this week. But um, nonetheless, I'm sure it's going to bring back several memories.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Good God. Wow.
yeah.
But no, I think that that'll be great. And I think we're both embracing what we don't know about that experience. And the hopefulness is going to come from being away
Mm-hmm.
and being exposed to something immersed, really, a full immersion.
Immersed
Yeah, into something
with
completely
the
different.
guru himself. Like with, when you've got Deepak, I don't know if he's going to be there, but his people are going to be guiding us through this journey. Um, yeah, just like what, the interactions that we've had just leading up to this has been setting the expectation pretty high on some level.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see what happens. But, and I don't love being away from my kids. I mean, I get a lot of anxiety about stuff like that initially until I'm sitting on that airplane, I'll be fine. Once I'm on the plane, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
But leading up to it, I get a little bit anxious about leaving them, not because my husband can't handle it, just because he's not going to do it as good as I will. Um, and so I'm like, is he going to pack the right snacks? Is he going to make
Yeah.
sure they're dressed appropriately? Is he going to do her hair and not look like a ragamuffin?
No
Um,
ragamuffin. That's hilarious.
all the things. So
Yeah.
I
I
can't wait.
also,
Sunday can't come soon enough.
I know. I think that one part, and this may sound somewhat terrible. I wish I had a coin for every time I said that on this show. But I think maybe other moms can relate to this too. Maybe you can. I think that, and I don't go away as often, and we've Jeff here just to take care of like Rachel or Cameron or what. Cameron is freaking in Arizona right now golfing or whatnot, so I don't see this kid anymore. He's always on the circuit. But I almost want to just hope that there's a garnishment or a deeper reflection of appreciation for what all we do when they have to be the one doing it. And I'm not saying that our husbands collectively, to every single person that listens to this, I'm sure our husbands all appreciate us in their own way when we are here doing all the work. However, whenever we are not, and they don't know where the paper towels are, or you know what I mean, have to do so many different pieces of homework each night in order to make sure it's done, or sign so many different pages, or even remember to get the kid from school and do all
the
the
book log, do the reading log.
yes,
Oh, make sure you get them to their extracurricular activities. Give them
right.
a snack, get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All the things. And that's the thing. And this is why I'm just got to make peace with this because I really struggle. You know this about me. I really struggle because he's been out of town so much. Can he do those things? 1,000%. Is he going to
Mhm.
miss a couple things? 1,000%. Are they going to have like healthy, nutritionally balanced dinners every night? Probably not. And like that, I think I put in so much effort and it takes so much more of my time and
Mhm.
energy to do these things and to do them well because it's important to me. Um,
Mhm.
but ultimately, like those things aren't that important to him. If he doesn't sign her folder one night, he's not going to give a shit. Whereas I would be like, oh, I forgot to sign her folder. Just, and I'm
Mhm.
an educator. So of course I'm going to do all the things that come
Right,
along.
right.
But it's just that kind of stuff of like, I just got to make peace with the fact that if they are alive and happy when I walk through that door next week, at the end of next week, then he has done his job. Because I can't expect him to do it everything exactly the way that I would do it.
Sure.
Even
Mm-hmm.
though I'm going to leave a list and I'm going to get him to try to do it my way. The fact of the reality is, I know, if I call them at night, it's going to be like, oh, we had pizza for dinner. And I'm going to be like, cool.
Right.
Um, we don't eat out during the week. Uh, but like, I got to let that go because I'm not here. And he
Yeah.
honestly can do whatever he wants. Um, but that's hard for me. That is really a struggle. And I think that's part of like the anxiety leading up to
Mm,
going out of town or being away is just knowing that like they're not going to be cared for the way that I would care for them.
mm,
I'm not saying it's
mhm.
bad. And I remind myself all the time, like, if we were divorced, God forbid that ever happens. I'm gonna knock on
Mm.
some wood here. But if we were, I wouldn't have any control over what happens at the other person's house.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
you've got to just let things be as they are. It's not worth it at the end of the day. Like I said, as long as they are alive and happy when I walk through the door and my house is
Mm-hmm.
relatively clean, I will be just fine. We will
Mm-hmm.
all go on. We will all have healthy meals the following week.
Everything.
I'll be honest, part of next week, I just want to like unplug and be like off the grid.
Yes.
Like no call, no show, no social media, no nothing. Like just like I'd still record stuff and like take pictures and things like that, but like
Right.
have no access to the outside world. Like, you know, I like that, and I very well may do that because I could use a social detox personally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that is one of the ways that I get in my own way is I start scrolling before I get my daily 5 done.
Mm.
Perfect example this morning. I was baking some bread and I was like, well, I could go work out while this bakes, or I could just skim through social media. And I wasted a whole 40 minutes sitting there waiting on the bread to bake, instead of I still haven't done my workout. I will do it, but I haven't done it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I think I could benefit from a little social media detox
Yeah, that's a
next
good
week.
idea. Yeah. And we're going to be so busy with our schedules. It's going to be
Yeah.
hard
Our
to.
schedule that we really don't
We
know
have
other
no
than
idea.
we get to hang out in the spa from 10:30 to 5.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we really know.
God. I know.
Tailored meals,
Mm-hmm.
Michelin star chef quality meals tailored to our liking. They called us to ask for our preferences.
Yeah.
There's like a juice detox. You've already done the juice detox once, right?
I did like a dietary cleanse kind of a thing that was just a independent kind of like reset. And honestly, I would think I've kept up with all of it. So it's not even a cleanse at that point. It's just I learned from the experience what my body really does prefer to have in it and what it doesn't prefer to have in it. And I've kept up with that. So,
That's awesome. That's what
yeah.
I'm looking forward to. I do. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been doing the gut health protocol basically, and
Mhm.
other than last weekend with spicy margaritas, and I did have some cheese, but like it does, it makes you aware of like what your body doesn't like. Like my body's not crazy about dairy, and
No.
um, yeah, it's always. I was like, I don't know if it's worth having a stomach ache for 2 days just to have some cheese. You know, I don't know. All
Mhm.
things. I can't wait till next week. I can't wait for us to
Mhm.
just to see what emerges after being down in Arizona. So stay tuned. I don't even know what we're going to call episode 50 because I feel like we're all over the effing place on this one,
Maybe
but
that's it.
all over the effing place.
All over the effing place.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah. So
But I
we
do
didn't
think
even
it's
say our
good.
intro as, you know,
Good. It's 50. We can do whatever we want.
we can do whatever we want. We might change it again.
Mhm.
Uh, Again, we're open to any topic suggestions. We still have
Mhm.
several to get through from the last time we put it out on social media. We are working through those. And so some of them
Mhm.
are similar topics. So if you've got
Mhm.
something new for us, send it to us. We'll put a question box out on social media so that we can see if anybody's got any suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
love I love season 3 so far with the listener suggestions.
Oh my
I think
gosh,
it's
it's so
so
good.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
And even the heavy stuff. Like obviously we don't care about talking about the heavy stuff. So send us the
Mm-mm.
heaviest shit you can think of. We'll talk about that too.
Right, right. Give us some solutions, maybe. If you've got any ways that we can kind of cope with some of this stuff, we're not too good, okay? So just we're all on the same plane here. Keep some of those ideas coming too. Give some of those things out. I'd love to hear that. That could be
Yeah.
really helpful. And I guess one last shout out to Sweet Seth. You
Mm,
know,
we love Seth, our producer Seth.
God bless. This was another reach. I think that was I don't ever think that whenever I asked him to, um, help to produce and to edit and get our podcast ready for all of its production points, that I thought we were going to be talking about some of the topics that we've talked about. And I just feel like it's important for me to say once again, I've known this kid since he was in kindergarten.
Oh my God.
So talk about life coming full circle at some points.
For sure.
But he has been so embracing and so non-judgmental. God bless him. Um, oh my God. Yeah. I mean,
I've still
wow.
yet to even meet him in person.
I know.
I've been to his city. He's been
Right.
back to West Virginia. We're just always at different times. But eventually, Seth, we will meet in 2024.
That's
We'll make
right.
that happen somehow. If you haven't checked him out, go to our website, lylaspodcast.com. Click on our team. You can find all of his pages and things like that. So you can he's a very talented musician. I love keeping up with him on social media. He's just a really cool dude. So check
So
him out
fun.
if you love music, and specifically if you live down in Austin, Texas, try to catch one of his live shows.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we could try to fly down one weekend and go to like a live show.
I would absolutely love that. He
That
has the
would be so
best,
fun.
biggest dog too, named Martha, who I just can't wait to hug on too. So, I would love to go down there and watch him. We would be his biggest fans for sure. It probably
Mega
embarrassing.
fans.
Maybe he doesn't want us there now. Sorry, Seth. We're going to be sitting there screaming with signs that say, "We love you." Oh, oh well.
Well, all right. I think that's all we can ramble about for today. So until
Mhm.
next week, thanks for sticking around. 50 episodes in, 50 to go or more.
Yeah.
Cheers to the next 50.
Cheers
We'll
to the
see
next
you
50.
or chat with you next week.
All right.
Lilas
We
out.
out.